All right, Ohio State, Akron, banger here. Watch out. Ohio State's favored by almost 50.
I am actually going to this game. I'm taking
Are
my
you?
son. I'm taking my son to go. So,
Do you think they're going to go over or under just really fast? Or cover or not cover?
I think they're gonna cover.
Maybe. We'll see. All right, so Zach, we'll go to you first. Obviously we could talk about all the things with previews in this one. I do think that there are some things Ohio State didn't do as well last year stat wise that maybe they can improve on for this year, especially new quarterback coming in. Things are looking a little bit different with the backfield, bringing in Quinshon Judkins. The offensive line is relatively the same, but they do need to improve and get better. So Zach, I want you to give me a stat that Ohio State needs to really improve on in this game. Obviously, we can talk about the entire season, but in this game, something they need to really improve on to make the fans feel good coming out of this game.
I think they have to eliminate empty drives. Like, I think that was the thing that plagued Kyle McCord all season long was like he'd have a great drive and then it'd be like three straight 3-and-outs. And I don't know the exact percentage, but just so many drives that and they were drives that died because of mistakes. It wasn't like, oh, like the defense made a good play. Certainly that was the case too, but just I think self-inflicted mistakes and empty drives. Like those are the things that I think I'm looking for. Like, are they consistent offensively or do they stop and start?
Yeah, especially against Akron, you can't go out there and go 3-and-out the very first drive. Ohio State fans will start chanting "Fire Ryan Day" right then and there. Kent, what's a stat or something that Ohio State needs to do much better than they did last year against Akron?
I don't think there's much that they have to do much better. They were a pretty good team last year. I think the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is Chip Kelly and what the offense looks like just in general, the whole vibe of the offense. And I think that if you're an Ohio State fan, you should be looking for that too. But also, on the flip side, not putting a ton of stock into what happens in this Akron game because I don't know if he's going to, show his hand too much against a team like Akron. Probably be pretty vanilla play calling, but I think that that's more of something I'm looking forward to the first 3 or 4 weeks from Ohio State is just the entire vibe of the offense and how much different it's going to look under his control.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I'm looking at the offense specifically in the red zone. So obviously I'm following Ohio State closer than any other team out there. Ohio State has been plagued with troubles of scoring touchdowns in the red zone for the past 2-3 years because they've been so pass heavy and they just haven't really had the run game. Now they are definitely going to be better with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, and I think that Chip Kelly does a good job with play calling and the way he's able to scheme up his run blocking for that to be better. But the biggest thing is Will Howard. All right. So a lot of people talk about, well, Will Howard's not that much better than Kyle McCord. One area that he is extremely better than Kyle McCord, you can say he's very similar in other areas, whatever, but one area he's extremely better is in fact the red zone. Will Howard last year in the red zone, he was 35 of 60, 290 yards, so less than 60% completion percentage. That's not great, but 17 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1 sack, and 8 rushing touchdowns. That's 25 total touchdowns in the red zone. Last year, he was only ever sacked 1 time, 0 interceptions. So, this is a guy that excels his game when he's in the red zone. He's big, he's mobile, he's going to be able to do those things. If you don't see that from Will Howard against this Akron team, now granted, they could just be running wild and you could only see Ohio State in the red zone twice with Will Howard because he's throwing deep balls and you got deep runs by Travion Henderson. If that happens, no harm, no foul. But if they make it into the red zone, they better not be settling for field goals. They better not be getting to 4th down. You need to find a way to punch that ball into the end zone within the first 3 downs. At least get the first down and then go after it again. So, Zach, any thoughts on Chip Kelly, the offense, red zone, anything like that?
Yeah, well, I think what you're saying complements the empty drive thing because I think I think the big issue, like, is there consistency running the ball? Is there consistency in the routine? And I think that goes right to what you're saying. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there anything that could happen in this game for Ohio State fans that they would say, I'm concerned about this team? Obviously,
yes.
like losing. Well, yeah, like losing. But realistically, like let's say you win like 37-21 or something like that. Is there going to be anything that you're looking for? Like, man, I can't believe we didn't do X, Y, or Z. I'm concerned about this year.
Honestly, I think couches might be on fire if it's only a 16-point win.
Really? I don't think it
Yeah.
will be, by the way. I don't think it will be.
Yeah,
I'm just trying
no.
to play, devil's advocate here. Like, I think we're all kind of on the same page. It's going to be a 50, 60-point game, but I'm trying to think like how you would even get, like, I think even if you squeaked out like a 2-touchdown win, I say squeaked out, there would be nothing in week 1 that I would ever be concerned about that you couldn't fix by the end of the year,
I mean, these are Ohio State fans, so if Ohio State doesn't win by 40 or more, they're going to be concerned. Trust me, I'm in a group chat with a bunch of Ohio State fans on Twitter, and I mean, like, there's talk of Donovan Jackson is not like playing very much in practice right now, and it's already like, oh my gosh, this offensive line is going to be horrible. We stink, and it's like, dude, guys, like they're like, but our All-American, and it's like, okay, like the first 3 games are Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall. Like, chill.
Yeah.
He's probably just resting a little bit. And it's like, oh no, everything's going to be bad. You're losing the offensive line. Chemistry, it's not going to be there for when you face Iowa. And it's like, okay, guys, it's also Iowa. Like, you're playing them at home. I'm not trying to look past an opponent, but you're not playing Oregon the 4th week. So, yeah, there are a ton of things. And if we couldn't predict them, Ohio State fans will find them that they'll be concerned about after this one.
I will say, I think 2 maybe legitimate things. One is if Will Howard doesn't look good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's one. The other one, and it's because it's been a trend under Ryan Day the past 3 years, is that the run game does not look fixed. Like if they can't run at will, I think that's been the single biggest problem for Ohio State the past 3 years, is that where Michigan, when chips are down, they can just run the ball. Ohio State has not been able to. And I think that's why Chip Kelly was so important as a hire. And if they're struggling against and this is, I think fans felt this with Youngstown State and Indiana a year ago, was like, we can't run against those teams. What in the world's going on? And I think that will be the thing that I think it's less about score. Cause I think they could win 49-10, but they're like, did we run well? Like that.
Or like, why did they score 10? Like, even if it's against the 2 deep, you're like, oh my gosh, our backup cornerback is not very good. So what happens if this guy goes down? Like,
I'm talking less about the crazies and more about like legitimate. I think there might be not like, and I don't think people should be like going crazy if they don't run well or Will Howard struggles a bit. But like, I think that would legitimately raise eyebrows for people if they can't average over 5 yards a carry like that.
Yeah. I think the difference last year though, like I'm thinking back when you mentioned that Indiana game, I think the difference between a game like Indiana and a game like Akron is like, we don't know who Akron is. Like when you guys struggled even a little bit against Indiana, we all know Indiana. It's like, what's going on here? This shouldn't be happening. And like Akron, they could be anything. It's like, oh, well, maybe they're a good MAC team this year. Maybe they're about to go 10-2 or whatever. We don't know who they are. So that I feel like was a little bit different last year. We're like, what's going on here? Like we know Indiana's not that great. So
if you ask Ohio State fans, they'll say Akron's not that great, even if they're 10-2. So
true.
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably leaning more toward the crazies. Zach is probably being a little bit more for the rational crowd, which maybe you experience the rational crowd more than I do, Zach. Good for you.
No, I don't. I'm just more trying to keep a level head.
Good stuff.